Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged.
Guilty as charged.
Guilty as charged. That's my guy.
Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Guilty as Charged podcast, coming to you live on a Saturday for our Week 7 preview. A bit of a different schedule this week. I had our big annual college and career night event that we do every single year on Thursday night. Got home at like 9:30 p.m., so was unable to record on Thursday. Missed Thursday Night Football, so it seemed like that was a pretty fun game. Steelers frauds, as always. So we're doing our Week 7 preview on Saturday, college football Saturday. You know who I'm rocking with, University of Utah, Holy Word game today, big one in Provo, Utah. So should be a fun day. I love talking Chargers on Saturday. Haven't been able to do a whole lot of Saturday shows this year because of family stuff, but happy to be here with my guy, Tyler. Tyler, what's up, man? How are you doing on this wonderful Saturday morning?
Doing very well. It's not raining. It's sunny. Things are nice. It's starting to feel a bit more like fall. I know we don't get seasons, but for us, that's the temperature dropped by 8 degrees. So
yeah,
it's pretty solid around here. It seems like people in the chat are excited to have at least one Saturday show that we haven't had in a while, just because different time zones and whatnot. So happy to have some Europeans and East Coasters, as it says in the chat.
Yeah, good time for the non-West Coasters in the chat here. Big day for the Dodgers fans yesterday. So if you're a Dodgers fan,
no kidding.
Congratulations. Heck of a performance from Shohei Ohtani yesterday. But yeah, happy as always that we have some European support. It's great to see the growth of that particular, portion of the fan base. Andrew Caneen from Ireland. I don't know if he's in the chat right now, but he's actually going to be at the game tomorrow. So he and I messaged back and forth a lot about our trip up to England and Scotland. He gave me some great recommendations. We've been messaging back and forth about his first trip out to the West Coast for the Chargers game tomorrow. I know Matt was out there from England 2 weeks ago against the Commanders. Hopefully Andrew has better luck than Matt did. Obviously that Commanders game was not fun. So anytime our European friends can make it out, we always try and say hello. And we appreciate the heck out of you guys.
Yeah, we've got a pretty strong contingent in Germany too, in terms of the Chargers fans that support, the Chargers, but also our show. So what's up, everybody, if you're watching?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the Chargers ever get to, Europe again. I'm sure they will at some point, but have not been back to London since 2017, right?
Was it the Melvin Gordon Titans game?
Yeah, where they went for 2 and Tannehill threw the interception at the end to Casey Hayward, I want to say.
Oh, so it's a game they won.
It is a game they won, yes.
It is not the Gordon Titans loss game. It was another one they won. Okay, cool.
Maybe I'm misremembering. I swear they won the game in London against the Titans.
I'm pretty sure they did. There's just also somewhere in there a Melvin Gordon fumbles at the one game against the Titans. But
yes, that game was in Nashville. I remember the one you're talking about now. Yeah.
To be fair, if I said Melvin Gordon fumble game, there's about 50 of those.
Yeah, so. The Tyrell Williams legacy game in London. Yes. Okay.
That's right.
I remember that one.
Yeah,
that was a fun one.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, LD Bruin points out they're probably going to have a Greece game whenever that happens. Obviously, they have the marketing rights there. Spanos family is Greek, so I'm sure Greece will happen eventually. The NFL is expanding to Asia. Apparently, Saudi Arabia wants to host a game, so I don't know, man. That last one is a little sketchy to me, but is what it is.
I'll go to Greece.
I'll go to Greece for sure. I've always wanted to go to Greece.
That sounds like a really good excuse to go.
Yeah. Hopefully, not next year. Next year they can play all the games in the States, but
for sure.
All right. Like I mentioned, Week 7 preview is here. Of course, have to begin our show talking about our friends over at PrizePicks. This episode of the Guilty as Charged podcast is brought to you by PrizePicks, the best and easiest way to consume daily fantasy sports. PrizePicks is where it is good to be right. You don't want to miss any excitement of the football season over on PrizePicks. We've talked a lot about the excitement from the Chargers players. I think this could be a good week for a Quentin Johnston, for example, making his return against the banged-up Colts secondary. Curious to see how that kind of goes in. So if you're a Quentin Johnston believer, making his return, that could be a profitable thing for you. Obviously, the Justin Herbert rushing numbers have kind of come back down to earth a little bit with the offensive line injuries. Maybe he gets back on track this week. We'll see what happens there. PrizePicks now is offering the ability to stack a single player, where you can pick the same player in up to 3 different statistical categories within your same lineup. So if you do believe that Justin Herbert's rushing total is a more or a less this week, you can choose that. You can choose Justin Herbert passing touchdowns, passing yards, the whole shebang. You can also follow other PrizePicks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one simple click. Whether it's a friend, celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like, hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on PrizePicks. So these are 2 new features. PrizePicks is always trying to up their game and figure new ways out to get in on the action over on PrizePicks, and that's one thing that I absolutely love about it. So download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code GUILTY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code GUILTY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right.
Just want to jump in on the PrizePicks stuff. It's been really great for people who are trying to maybe jump into PrizePicks, or maybe it's not working out right now. Second half and fourth quarter stuff on Thursday and London morning games for me. I'm like 6 in a row now. Not much, $10. You can kind of take a couple of swings here and there, but man, I've made 6 in a row. I've either gotten all of them or the 5 out of 6 with flex, which gives you 1.5 times the bet or 2.5 times, whatever it is. So give it a whirl.
Yeah, that's a great call out. You can PrizePicks, you can go in on a bunch of different ways. So it truly is a fantastic opportunity there for you guys. All right, let's jump into Colts week, where this is a way more interesting game than we would have thought heading into the season. I still don't know how much I believe in the Daniel Jones experience. More on that later. But whoever wins this game is going to be sitting atop the AFC for the time being. And regardless if that holds out throughout the entire season, this is seeding, advantageous for the Chargers, for the Colts, depending on if these 2 teams can win the division. Maybe the Texans and Chiefs kind of make a comeback here. Maybe the Jaguars make it interesting in the AFC South. So this is a wild card seeding situation for the Chargers. This kind of head-to-head opportunity where we were not super excited about this game heading into the season. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor is Jonathan Taylor. But the Colts have gotten off to such a hot start that this game is so much more important than we thought it was when the schedule came out.
Yeah, absolutely zero. I mean, this is the biggest surprise team of the year, I think, generally 100%. Because of the quarterback situation. It was, Anthony Richardson can't beat out Daniel Jones. All right, great. They have plenty of skill position players, a good offensive line, in theory, heading into the season, some good defensive talent. And here we are. I did not expect this to be that game of the 2 AFC heavyweights as far as things are going right now. And both teams are banged up a bit, and we'll talk about that. But Chargers win this game. They have an 80% chance of making the playoffs. If they lose, 60% chance. I think the Chargers are going to be fine in the long term, but winning this game obviously would be huge for them.
Yeah, and I think, again, we'll talk about the injuries, right? But if they can manage to win this game, get a lot of their guys back next week, you feel a lot better about this team going forward from where we were at this time last week, where we were like, hey, man, this could be a 4-game losing streak. The vibes were so bad last week. And there's still a lot of skepticism about this team. There's still a lot of skepticism about the Colts. But I think the national narrative for both of these teams is like, okay, are you for real? Are you a team that can go in and beat another good team, another team that is likely headed towards the playoffs? Because that was the big thing about the Chargers last year, is the only playoff team they beat was the Broncos twice. So now you have the Colts heading into the playoffs. Obviously, they've already beaten the Chiefs and the Broncos and stuff like that. But this is a big game from a national perspective for both teams. It's a shame that neither of these teams are 100% healthy, but still should be a great game. I think this has the potential for game of the week energy. Obviously, there's some other games going on around the league, but This has the chance to be like a one of those Chargers Lions type games, Chargers Browns from 2021 type games to me, where this could be a lot of points, a lot of entertainment value. And if it were me, I don't generally gamble on the games, but I would probably hit the over and smash that over button. But I think this should be a really just fun, electric matchup on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, it really strikes me as a game you select the more for sure. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right, so let's check in on the Colts. How's their season going? Pretty great so far. Daniel Jones, again, I still remain skeptical. But right now, he is third in the league in an adjusted EPA per play. He has not really turned the ball over that much. There's a decent amount of turnover-worthy plays, but the whole shtick about Daniel Jones is that, he's going to turn the ball over a lot, and that has not happened right now. So the Colts offense is incredible. That's obviously the large portion of this, segment of the show. Jonathan Taylor leads the league in rushing yards. The Colts are first in the EPA per rush. Rushing attack is the Bills, because of Josh Allen, lead the league in like total rushing. But the Colts are right there neck and neck. Tyler Warren leads all tight ends regardless of age in receiving yards. So their offense is putting up a lot of points, a lot of yards, a lot of statistics. That's kind of the main thing that is good about the Colts right now. And then we have layout. Go ahead, Tyler.
Sorry. No, you're good. I was just going to comment on, it's ridiculous. They have potentially, I don't know if they're all going to win, obviously, but a coach of the year, a comeback player of the year, an offensive player of the year, and the offensive rookie of the year, all firing on all cylinders on offense this year. It's just, I don't recall actually a group that's been like that before, where you can basically take every notable offensive category / a head coach who's an offensive play caller, and everyone is top 5 for that category. It's bizarre.
Yeah, a lot of great offensive stuff happening. The offensive line, I didn't put them on here, but you could definitely put them in the same category. I think they're 9th in overall PFF pass blocking efficiency rating when it comes to the whole team. But I mean, Quentin Nelson is back to Quentin Nelson stuff. Bernard Raymond, Braden Smith, these guys are really good tackles. The young center and right guard situation remains to be seen how good those two are. But this offense really, if Daniel Jones plays like this all year long, like this is probably one of the top 3 offenses in the league, which is everything that's going on. And Josh Downs is not going to play in this game, but you still have Michael Pittman, you still have Tyler Warren, you still have Alec Pierce, you have A.D. Mitchell, who was at least, extremely talented. We don't know what he's like on the field each week. But the talent across the board is just it's kind of crazy. They've thrown a lot of draft picks at this offense, and the quarterback has always been the missing piece. I mean, Shane Steichen led a top 15 offense with Gardner Minshew a couple of years ago. So Daniel Jones seems to be kind of figuring it out in his career. And if that maintains the case throughout the whole season, the Colts offense is just going to be continuing to put up points, I think.
Yeah, they're almost bulletproof, injury proof. I mean, as long as you have the play caller and Steichen keeps being great as he has been this year, you can throw to this receiver, you can throw to that receiver, you can throw to this tight end. We have this backup tight end. We can run the football. We're 4th in run block win rate. It's a really tough group to find the weakness and beat them. And it's not just as simple as, pressure Daniel Jones. They have a good offensive line, and Daniel Jones has all the answers. And so it's a tricky group to just sit here and go, well, that's how you beat them. There really isn't, in terms of their offense, there's not really a way to beat them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tough matchup.
An easy one, that is.
Yeah. Defensively, some, the numbers I think look a little bit better than what they actually are on defense. They're 7th in defensive EPA per play. They're 5th in takeaways. That really is the big thing. They're actually 22nd in defensive success rate. So teams have been able to move the football on them. It's just been a lot of turnovers, 8th in pressure percentage. It's very similar to, that 2021 Bengals defense that went to the Super Bowl with Lou Anarumo, where they're not necessarily going to, be the consistent team that gets a lot of 3 and outs and keep overall points down, but they get a lot of sacks, a lot of turnovers, and you can win that way in this league playing defense like that. So the key part of that seems to be that Laiatu Latu has taken that next step, or at least is in process of taking that step. He only has 1 sack, but he has 23 pressures on the season. So it's a pretty, big step up for him. They love to do simulated pressures. They're pretty similar to like what the Chargers run. And Latu actually has 2 interceptions on the season, and neither of them were like gimme interceptions. Like he was actually in coverage, dropping. They were good interceptions. So he's a good player. Obviously, they have some other good players, but the defense, it's just a really well run unit. From what I didn't watch like coaches tape this week, but I watched some condensed replays real quick. The numbers look good. The overall statistics for Latu, DeForest Buckner, Cam Bynum look good. And as long as the Chargers take care of the football, they should be in good shape. But that's how the Colts have been kind of making their living on defense.
Yeah, it's not, and especially with the injuries we'll talk about, not a great group, but they have enough playmakers. I mean, they have JT Tuimoloau, just kind of like he's their 4th guy or whatever it is. I don't know how many snaps he's taken, but they've got him, Buckner, Pace, Stewart, etc. So it's a good group in terms of the defensive line.
I think, yeah, JT Tuimoloau has 40 snaps on the season, so he's been a healthy scratch a couple times. Like different reason that Kyle Kennard's been a healthy scratch for a different reason. JTT is just healthy scratch because the Colts have that many guys, and have to get on the field sometimes.
Yep. Bummer.
And then obviously record wise, if the Colts win tomorrow, man, like they are in prime shape to go and win the AFC South for the first time in quite a while. And the Texans, we'll see. I would like to see them beat like a Ravens C team situation before teams are people are like buying back in and everything's great. But they play the Seahawks tomorrow, and I think that is going to look very different for them. If the Colts win tomorrow, they're just in a great shape going forward. They do have a difficult schedule after this going forward. I was listening to the Ringer guys, and they were saying that up until week 7, the Colts had like the 4th easiest schedule in the league by like betting odds. And then going forward, it's like the 5th most difficult. So, winning tomorrow just gives the Colts a potential, really big cushion on the AFC South going forward.
Yeah, it's tricky to parse out what is real and what isn't with this Colts team. And I'm sure Colts fans feel kind of the same way. They beat Miami pretty handily. We've seen their defense not be so great, especially when it comes to like the Colts offense. Is it real? Is it not? They play the Broncos and put up 29. Destroy the Titans. Okay, put up 20 against the Rams. Should have had 27, but Mitchell decided to drop the football. 40 on the Raiders, 31 on the Cardinals. But like, other than Denver, where's the real challenge for this offense? So I understand why people are saying like, not sure about the Colts. Have they beaten anyone really good? They've only lost to one team, and that's the Rams, and that's the best team they've faced. So, I guess I don't know if tomorrow's the day we'll see if the Colts are for real on offense, but I am curious if they can challenge them.
Yeah, we'll see about the Chargers defense here. More on that later.
Yeah.
The not so good for the Colts primarily is about the defensive side of things. So Xavier Howard retired a few weeks ago. I don't know what it is about veteran corners at the Colts line about retiring, but that happened. Charvarius Ward, very scary situation before the game last week where him and a tight end collided, and Ward was completely non-responsive for like multiple seconds. Very, very scary situation. So he's out, could be out for a while. We'll see there. Kenny Moore is somehow questionable in this game with an Achilles injury, but he did not practice yesterday. So that was their starting trio of corners heading into the season, and potentially all 3 are missing tomorrow. And at minimum, Kenny Moore is not going to be fully healthy if he does play. And so they're starting like undrafted free agent corners that were like, signed, I think, after the cut down day situation. So it's bad. Linebacker, also not very good. They signed Jermaine Pratt off the street a couple weeks ago after the Raiders cut him, and he's starting. He played like 55 snaps last week for them. Their best linebacker is Zaire Franklin, who is PFF's worst linebacker in the league out of 72 qualified starters, including a bottom 10 coverage game. He also opened his mouth and talked about Justin Herbert before the season. So it potentially might be a laser pointer red circle game for Zaire Franklin this week. And then what happens if Daniel Jones starts turning the ball over, I think is a real concern for me if I were a Colts fan. And I went on a Colts podcast this week. They feel the same way. It's very much like, it looks great right now, but what happens if the other guy comes back out and kind of ruins things a little bit?
The tricky part is like, I don't know, hand it off to Jonathan Taylor and call it a day. Like the part that sucks is they just have the answer right behind them or in their tight end group. So slight bummer there. But yeah, the Colts had a bad secondary forever. And then they tried drafting corners and they cut, was it Brents after like 2
Juju
weeks
Brents
or something,
cut,
which is
yep.
so quickly. And this group that couldn't even find corners finally maybe has some corners, and 2.5 of them are out. Where someone here is saying that Kenny Moore is playing. Shane Steichen said that Kenny is playing.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, at minimum, this guy is questionable, hurting with an Achilles, something, I don't know.
I don't know, man. A 30-year-old with an Achilles injury, that would make me a little nervous about playing.
That sounds like me waking up every morning, first off. And I'm not playing an NFL game. Granted, no one's paying me millions of dollars either. Yeah, if Daniel Jones starts turning the ball over, great, fantastic. The Chargers, they started to swing the other direction last week, getting some turnovers. One was a drop-ish, and one was I have no idea what two was doing.
Yeah.
It was just a random play at the end of the game. So I don't know how much I buy in the total numbers there. But, hey, if Daniel Jones wants to fumble a couple of times, throw an interception or two, fine by me.
Yeah, that would be great. That'd be great. So Kenny Moore plays in the slot. So that is a big matchup against Ladd McConkey this week. When he's healthy, he's a great slot corner. Probably the best slot corner in the league. But I don't know. That would make me a little nervous this week.
Yes.
All right. Let's get to our game preview, starting with the injury report, as we always do. So a lengthy report for both teams this week. The Chargers obviously ruled out Trey Pipkins pretty early on. That was, indicated to me that this is a knee situation for Trey Pipkins that is not IR lengthy, but kind of on the same timeline as Joe Alt, where he's probably going to miss like 3 games, come back for the 4th game. And this would be his 3rd game missed. So potentially back Trey Pipkins next week, and Joe Alt, who is listed as doubtful. Great to see Joe Alt back out there practicing. I was told earlier today that he wanted to push it this week to see if he could actually play. But the Chargers decided to kind of hold him back a little bit and get him healthier, as opposed to like rushing him out there sooner. So there's obviously, a light at the end of the tunnel situation here for the Chargers tackle situation, where they could get both of those guys back next week. I think the indication that Joe Alt practiced in some capacity the last 2 days is a great sign that he is potentially on track to make his return next week. And then Trey Pipkins, we'll see. He did not practice at all this week. So big questions on the offensive tackle remain, at least for one more week.
Yeah, no, Joe Alt doing anything, and obviously we'll talk about Khalil Mack in a second. It's nice to see the Chargers trending in the right direction. I pray they just get through this game, win or lose, just get through this game so we can get to the second half of the season with a more healthy team. So Alt recovers very fast, it seems like, and no surprise, he's a freak. So it takes him 2 to 3 weeks less than other guys for whatever reason, but I'm stoked with that. So if Joe Alt's back there on Thursday, awesome. It's not, I wish it were flipped and the Colts were on Thursday. It's a more critical game for them to win, but it is what it is. I'll take it. If they get to Thursday, they can survive. I'm happy. As far as, I guess this is more of a next week conversation, but if Joe Alt does return and if Pipkins does not, is Deculus your right tackle or Hart?
I would think it would be Deculus.
Okay.
So we can definitely touch on that. So Jamari Sawyer, it should be back. He was limited in practice all week, but he should be back and playing. But based on like the videos from Chris Rim and the pictures, it does seem like Bobby Hart is going to start again at right tackle. Jamari Sawyer would be like your next man up. So we'll see what happens there. I think it would be Deculus going back, switching to the right side over Bobby Hart, but maybe they kind of like want to stick with the continuity and continue to play Hart. People online have been like, oh, Bobby Hart played so well. He had like 6 true one-on-one snaps last week. And that part should absolutely continue. You should not be testing the waters with Bobby Hart against Leatu Latu this week. So I don't know, man. Like, I think you can trust Deculus a little bit more, and Deculus is a much better run blocker. So I would hope that it would be Deculus switching sides, playing right tackle. Pipkins can't go on Thursday night.
Yeah, I agree. And Deculus, I almost shouted him out last week as the unsung hero. Just as from a run blocking perspective, there was some good stuff that he did.
Yeah, he's doing some good things as a run blocker. Pass protection, there are definitely some issues, particularly against like speed rushers. So he's getting less help than he got more help this last week than he was previously, which is the right approach. Like, I think you want to make his life a little easier than the first couple of weeks where they were putting him on island at the same amount as Joe Alt was previously.
Same player?
Yeah. I don't know, man. your fifth string tackle. Yeah, let's island rate 75%. Let's go.
Yeah, that was
Just
something for sure.
It sounds like Denzel Perryman will be back this week. Full participant in practice all week long. Could not come at a better time as Troy Dye is also dealing with his own injuries. He did not practice all week with his thumb injury. He's been dealing with that like all season. He's got like a kind of a club situation going on. Listed as questionable, but generally speaking, like somebody who doesn't practice all week, we kind of just have to think that they're out. But it does sound like Perryman will be back. The Chargers released their long snapper yesterday, so they have an open spot on the 53 for Denzel, and I do expect him to make his return tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, that'll be fantastic. More on him in a bit, but I think he's been missing more than I even realized to start the season.
Same. And then the big one, Khalil Mack, who you mentioned earlier, limited participant in practice all week. The Chargers opened his window. He told reporters that he is feeling zero pain. He is ready to go. But similar to Joe Alt, I think the Chargers are kind of wanting to maybe take things easy with him a little bit, be a little bit careful with him. The big difference, obviously, that Joe Alt would play every single snap, and Khalil, you could kind of like ease back into a little bit. Maybe you play him 15, 20 snaps instead of 75 like Joe Alt will play. So I think there's a decent chance that Khalil plays, and obviously we're about 90 minutes to an hour away from the Chargers, or 90 minutes to 2 hours, I should say, away from the Chargers kind of announcing their usual Saturday moves. But I think Khalil is going to try and push to play, and if the Chargers are able to kind of make the roster gymnastics work this week, I think we see Khalil back on tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, Khalil Mack went up to Ben Herbert when they first brought in Ben Herbert and said, one of the first thing I told Herb when he came in is, I ain't scared of you. I'm going to let you know I'm with it. Let's go. Pretty sure Khalil Mack doesn't give a shit what the coaching staff might say about whether he can play or not. I think Khalil Mack, if he's good, not that he's going to, I think he's rational and will not play, 60 snaps, but he's going to play. If that's what he's saying, that he's like not in pain, get him out there.
Yeah, I think the limited participation was like, okay, maybe this is more of like a 50-50 situation. And then he told the reporters, I don't feel any pain. I'm ready to go. And for me, I'm like, okay, let's do this thing then. Let's get you back. And, let's figure out how we can cut Bud Dupree and put him on the practice squad.
That's an addition by subtraction for sure. Man, if Mac plays, I don't know, man, it kind of fires me up a bit. I'm not spoiler. I'm not picking a win, but that does make things a little more interesting.
Yeah, I think so too. Otherwise, Darius Davis potentially back this week. I don't know how I feel about that, given the way the return game has been with him healthy. But he was a full participant in practice yesterday, officially questionable. And then Hassan Haskins was a late addition to the injury report. He was a full participant in practice the last 2 days, but still listed as questionable with a chest injury. I mentioned Troy Dye's injury. And then Elijah Molden, forgot to mention this earlier, but Elijah Molden doubtful with a thumb injury. So he was obviously in pain last week playing with this. Obviously the Chargers made that trade in part because they have Molden, they have Mickens, who they really like, but getting rid of Alohi Gilman and then Elijah Molden dealing with another injury where he's probably going to miss this game it's a little tough to look at and feel great without Molden out there, I think.
Yeah, only the Chargers could trade away a safety and get an edge rusher and then get an edge rusher healthier and have a safety get hurt. Only the Chargers could just have that specific set of circumstances. The good news is they have edge depth. The bad news is, well, they do have safety depth too, but it's certainly being tested. Are we in territory of, with Benjamin St. Juste is playing, TBD on Cam Hart, and Dante Jackson's been playing pretty well. Are we in Derwin James is back there as a deep safety this week kind of deal? Or are we still keeping him close to the line of scrimmage?
I think there's more on that later.
Okay. More on that later. I'm setting y'all up for a little preview. All right.
There you go. Good tease without knowing it. We were not on the same page there.
Cool.
All right. Before we continue, our audio audience is going to take its first quick break, and then we will be right back with more Chargers Colts preview. All right, coaching storylines. I'll just start with this one. I know I've been like talking a lot so far already, but you teed me up. So the biggest coaching storyline, I think, is obviously the Chargers run defense. I think a lot of times when we are preparing for this show, I'll try and think of the not obvious situation to cover it. But I think you absolutely have to cover it this week with the way that the Chargers run defense has looked, where they are giving up the 28th most rushing yards in the league over the last 3 weeks. Their EPA per rush, their rushing success rate has all cratered from the previous 3 weeks where they were at least league average. And now they've been getting gashed by subpar offensive lines and, Devon Achane, who's very fast, but, he's not somebody who has a historically good success rate on every single rushing down. So I'm very concerned about this one. And I think in particular with Perryman and Khalil back, I think like the overall, roster ability will improve. But for me, I think the biggest concern of the way that the run defense looks has just been the way that Jesse Minter has not really made adjustments to the way that teams are playing them. And it started with the Giants game, obviously, and everybody knew, including like Brian Dable came out and said multiple times, we're going to run the football and we're going to use Jackson Dart. And I just felt like the Chargers did not really prepare well for that game. They kind of stuck to their guns. They're doing the Derwin James in the slot thing, and I understand you build the plan out of that. I don't know if you can continue to just do the same thing and expect different results, even with Perryman and Khalil Mack back. So the Colts, they run 2 tight end sets. Let me make sure I get this statistic correct real quick. They run 2 tight end sets, the ninth highest rate in the league. They are putting Tyler Warren and one of the other tight ends, whether it is oh my gosh, I'm totally blinking on his name right now.
Mo
Alley-Cox, thank you. They are using 2 tight end sets at an incredibly high rate this year. They actually are like 28th and 11 personnel. Like they do not run a lot of 3 receiver sets out there, despite the high end receiving talent that they have. In the 2 tight end sets, they are second in EPA per play in the league, and they are second in EPA per rush in the league. So they love to get in those 2 tight end sets and pound the rock. And then also like they'll play action, they'll designer touch for Tyler Warren in those situations, but they want to get, bodies on the field. They want to get those tight ends out there. They want to mash you in the run game. I know Daniel Jones looks good and other receivers look good, but this is a team that will go as far as Jonathan Taylor takes them, in my opinion. And if the Chargers stick with their light boxes where they have 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and then Derwin James in the slot, I think it's going to be more of the same from the last few games where we're going to look up. Jonathan Taylor has 190 yards from scrimmage, 2 touchdowns, and all of a sudden the Chargers are just like gassed on defense. I don't believe you can do the same schematic situations that you have been doing. Daniel Popper this week pointed out like teams have figured out the red zone situation for the Chargers. Looks like Tyler's computer just reset or something like that. But Daniel Popper did a great job this week in his article highlighting an issue that we highlighted where in the red zone, teams are taking advantage of the Chargers' tendencies. They're getting those tight ends to the left, motioning them to the right, and then you're going out to the left side. So not sure what happened there, Tyler, but welcome back. Either way, we've seen the last few teams take advantage of the Chargers' tendencies. They are running the football a ton right now, and specifically in this matchup, and in previous matchups, we've highlighted the Chargers' inability to, carry an edge and be able to stop outside runs. The Colts are averaging over 10 yards per carry when they are running outside of their left tackle, Bernard Raymond. 10 yards per carry is not – that's a pretty good average, you guys. So I just think that Jesse Minter, you're going to coach up the physicality. You're going to coach up the missed tackles. I don't expect Derwin James and, these guys to keep missing tackles the way that they have. But you have to make an adjustment this week. If you play the same schematic tendencies against the Colts, this is going to be a massive Jonathan Taylor game, and you're probably going to lose. So Jesse Minter, I think, is a great coach. I think his scheme generally works. But this week against the Colts, you have to change how you're playing. Otherwise, the same results are going to continue to happen. And Jonathan Taylor is going to run it for 150, 180 yards. Like, I think this has the potential to be a huge Jonathan Taylor game if the Chargers keep doing what they're doing.
And I hope that we do see any kind of change. I know it's difficult with the other receiving options. You can't just full out commit here. This is not a team that only runs the football and only runs the football well, but they do run the football and they do run it well. And I agree with you. If anything, Jonathan Taylor will take them as far as, it seems like they will go, at least in this game. Yes, Daniel Jones has to keep being good, but if you can stop or manage Jonathan Taylor, you're doing okay. But this is a player. He is clocked with the fastest miles per hour time this year as a running back, as a receiver. And I believe he has the 5th best rushing yards over expected, like big play run this year. So by pass, by run, this is not just, a very efficient guy, but also an extremely explosive potential guy. And we've seen that as early as last week. Not so good. And if you are tackle versus a Boygby, pull a guard, or you have 2 tight ends or whatever it is, and you've got it's Jonathan Taylor versus RJ Mickens, or it's tight end versus, I don't know, is it Marlo Wax this week if Troy I can't really go? And if Perryman is 50-50, I don't know. But you got to put yourselves in more advantages in terms of numbers. Like just make it a numbers game this week and see if you can win out. Stop trying to do whatever it is you have done before. Just make it bodies, just make it numbers, and hopefully you have some advantages there too.
Yeah, you pointed out the explosive run thing. It's been a problem for the Chargers. Jonathan Taylor is not the running back you want to give up explosive runs to. So I think RJ Mickens responded well to that, first poor angle that he took on Devon Achane, and actually had some really, good tackles later on. I think this has to be a game where you put Derwin James back at safety. You get another, defensive player up front. Maybe you try some 3 linebacker situations. That's not usually how the Chargers want to play defense. If you're going to play, Derwin James out there, I think this is a game where you stay in base formations, and maybe you're playing more of a traditional like cover 3 situation with Derwin James as a linebacker. You have to steal some gaps this week, and you have to make some tweaks. Otherwise, I think you're going to be, looking up, and suddenly Jonathan Taylor is just going to be going for, 30 fantasy points. So this to me is going to show me a lot about Jesse Minter. Like he's getting some head coaching buzz right now. There's a lot of, people connecting him to the Titans, head coaching opening. If the Bengals job opens up, that's going to be one that is going to be very interesting for him. To me, it's one thing where you're going to run your scheme and it looks great and you're communicating, everything like that. Can you make an in-game adjustment to kind of win a game that you have to do some different tendency things is going to show me a lot about Jesse Minter's like future head coaching potential. Whereas, can you be a good coordinator versus a good head coach? Depends a lot. How can you change up your scheme? How can you make adjustments? And he needs to do that for the Chargers tomorrow afternoon.
I don't even need the Chargers. Again, I'm picking them to lose. So if they win, fantastic. I don't even need this defense to be great. If they change it up, try different things, sell out against the, or whatever it is that they do, but if they change tendencies and they just give it effort and they still go up 27, I will say, hey, at least you tried to affect the game in some way. Maybe the Colts didn't expect. You change your tendencies, but you know what? Right now, you're just overmatched. This is a really talented Colts offense with a really good coordinator, and everything's gelling for them. This is a great offense right now. And if you lose, but you're at least trying and changing things, I don't mind. If they sit there and I watch them do what they did the last 3 weeks, I will have serious concerns because that's not the Jesse Minter I know. And especially if you get Perryman and Mack back, I know you don't have Elijah Molden, but that's not going to change too much for you. I think you're a little lower on excuses now if Mack, not 100%, and Perryman, not 100%, do come back. Like you do have more of your guys. Not that it really changes their whole scheme, but just show me something different. Even if it doesn't work, I almost don't expect anything to work. So if you find ways to steal a series here, a series there, keep them to 24 points, I consider that a win.
Yeah. If they can hold the Colts under 27, I'm extremely happy with that. which kind of leads into your point here for the coaching storyline that you are following this week.
Yeah, the others, they also have to break their own tendencies in terms of Jim Harbaugh. Now, we can't find anything on it, but Mark Trestman, who was more involved with their in-game like analytics, but like go for it game management stuff, he's not on the Chargers website as far as I can tell or see. I don't know what has happened to him. I don't know if someone's seen him on TV in the booth, and I'm completely wrong. But the Chargers this year are, for lack of a better word, cowardly when it comes to the go for it situations. And you brought this up already last week. I'm not saying anything new here, but if you missed it, the Chargers are the third worst team when it's in go for it when they should situations. They are the third. They lose the third most win probability each game by kicking it in those go situations. At nowhere was that more apparent than last week when they kicked 3 field goals at the 12, 13, and 17 yard line or whatever it was. They are not going for it when they should. Now, the discussion last week was, well, who cares? They won the game. This week, it matters. It matters this week. And I think Jim Harbaugh will understand that, especially if, I don't know, if Quentin Johnson's back and they're feeling a little bit better after last week. You kind of know what you have a bit more in Vidal now. I think you have to break some of those tendencies this week. It doesn't have to be every time. I don't need Harbaugh to swing the other direction and be uber aggressive, which apparently, strangely, that's been Pete Carroll this year. But I just need them to find a couple of advantages. You could include red zone in here as well. But in those go for it situations, I think you have, and you'll discuss having the weapons back too, with enough weapons back and with Justin Herbert, sort of Vidal, but definitely Herbert the runner as well. You have options. You can make it work. They don't go for it a ton. I think it's generally been pretty good for them. I mean, that Keenan Allen throw, that fourth down Keenan Allen play against the Raiders, I believe, fantastic. Like, that stuff is there. Put it in Herbert's hands, make it work. But if this Colts team is projected to get, let's say, even 28 points, 30 points, 31 points, you've got to find a way to break your own tendencies, hang your nuts, and go for it a couple of times if the opportunity presents itself. I'm not saying at your own 25, go for it because you have to score more points. I'm not saying that. But when it seems like there's an opportunity, especially closer to the red zone, go for it.
Yeah, so the Chargers are converting 66% of their fourth down attempts, which is 10th best in the league right now. Yeah, there's just not a lot of attempts there, but I think their fourth down plan is generally really well and really well thought out. And generally speaking, you have the power surge or beer run in your back pocket where you get to these short yardage situations. But I think this is a game where, last week against the Dolphins, you're on the road, you're trying more to like not lose, I guess. So I can kind of understand being a little conservative, but in this particular game where you're playing an offense where if you're honest about this situation and you're honest about where you're at as a team this week, you should definitely be planning to go for it more on fourth downs. And again, we are not asking for the Brandon Staley fourth down decision making to return here. The Chargers, I think, just give me like 15% more on the fourth down situation, and I'm very happy with that. And if you're planning to kick field goals, that's just not a way you're going to beat a team like the Colts. You can maybe beat a team like the Dolphins on a consistent basis that way. But if you're planning for 3, you're going to lose this week. It's just the reality. If you kick 5 field goals this week, that means you're losing. I hope everyone knows that. So Cameron Dicker is a great kicker. He's definitely somebody who should be in the Pro Bowl conversation this year, and I hope Chargers fans vote for him. If Cameron Dicker is kicking 5 field goals this week, that means the Chargers are going to lose. So just throwing that out there for anybody who is like, yeah, you have to take the points. No, you don't. You have to score touchdowns against an elite offense to win.
Yeah, all I'm asking is just appropriately go for it when the time calls for it. This is a game where it feels like you should be more aggressive. I am not asking them again to go for it on their own 5-yard line and give a halfback dive to Scott Matlock. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying a couple of times, just swing towards the middle, break some tendencies. Don't be aggressive for the sake of being aggressive, but should the data call for it in the appropriate situations, give it a whirl a couple of times. This Colts defense, as we've already mentioned, is rough in the secondary. You have all your weapons healthy. You have Justin Herbert, who I'm pretty sure is still good. Give it a shot.
Yeah, I think if you like, all I'm asking for, all we are asking for on this show is you get into a 4th and 2 situation, 4th and 1.5. You're in plus territory. You're on like the 35-yard line. Just go for it. Like I don't need to see a 42-yard field goal again. Like I love Cameron Dicker. If that is the case, that's the plan. The Chargers are going to lose this week. So
yeah.
Mr. Chip says they're not planning for 3. That is exactly what they do on a regular basis. That is literally what Jim Harbaugh is doing. So
yeah, I think so. I think the number is they're losing. The win probability has dropped, I think 4% or somewhere close to 4% every game because of these decisions. And is that 100%? No, that's 4%. And I'd like to be 2% better. So 4% is not great.
Yeah. When you're playing the Dolphins and the Raiders, that doesn't really matter. When you're playing the Colts, you got to score some points, and touchdowns, last time I checked, are more than field goals.
Yes.
All right, Tyler, what are you most excited to watch this week?
Yeah, this defense needs some energy, and I don't know how much Marlowe Wax will play, but him, potentially Denzel Perryman, definitely Denzel Perryman, that energy being brought to this defense would be huge. And they also just need it, as you mentioned, because of Jonathan Taylor. So to me, I'm just excited to see what these guys, with the addition of Deion Henley, can bring to this group. Troy Dye being out is, well, I guess not officially, but he's not out, right? He's doubtful. Troy Dye?
Troy Dye is questionable, but he did not practice all week.
That's what it was. Whatever it is, Denzel Perry. Okay. And in some capacity, Denzel Perryman, and I said this last week, but now he's officially returning. I think Denzel Perryman returning will be big for this team. And I'm excited to see just the energy change, the physicality, you name it.
Yeah. Sorry, I was reading some comments here. We're doing 4th down discourse in the chat. Like, I'm sorry. If you kick 5 field goals against the Colts, you are going to lose. Like, that is just like it. The Colts offense is too good. You have to score touchdowns. This is not me being, a millennial out here trying to be a nerdy stat. Like, I'm not asking for every single week be super aggressive on 4th down. If you're kicking field goals this week, you will lose. And so if you're cool with that as a Chargers fan, more power to you. If you love Cameron Dicker that much and you'd rather see Cameron Dicker score 5 field goals instead of win, more power to you. I want to see the Chargers win this week, so I want them to be aggressive. What am I most excited this week is the pass catchers. I think Quentin Johnson is having like a true breakout season right now. The film has looked great. You mentioned the statistic where he was over 70 yards for the first 4 weeks. A little bit down to earth in week 5. Deals with the injury. Things still look really good. You see Ladd McConkey kind of come back to who Ladd McConkey has been previously over the last 2 weeks. I think has been great to see. I think this particular matchup for the Chargers receiving group, as well as Oronde Gadsden, could not be more positive. The only player I'm like, obviously Kenny Moore is great. I don't think he's healthy. Like you're dealing with an Achilles injury. You didn't practice 2 of the 3 days this week. Shane Steichen can say that he's playing all he wants. That guy's not healthy. So outside of that, you have Cam Bynum. He's a really good player. He's definitely more of like a free safety kind of guy. The receivers have a major advantage across the board, and that includes Oronde Gadsden going up against the 2 linebackers of the Indianapolis Colts, as well as their other safety. I think this could be another great situation for the Chargers to, it sucks that their tackle situation is what it is right now, but spread the Colts out, 4 receiver sets, quick game. Let's get Trey Harris involved. Let's get Ladd McConkey involved. I think the Chargers have the ability to match the Colts for most of the game when it comes to points because the receivers have such a big advantage. This is part of the reason why I want them to be aggressive on 4th down. Keenan Allen has been a little bit quieter recently. This could be a big Keenan Allen game. Like I really feel like the pass catchers across the board have a big time advantage this week. And I want to see Justin Herbert kind of spread that rock. And let's get all these guys back on track for what we saw from the first 3 weeks as opposed to the last few weeks.
I'm so curious with Quentin Johnson because he missed the game. You see a bit more from McConkey. He probably could have had 180 if some lineman could block. But then you get him back on track. Trey Harris, only 4 catches, but it all looked good. You could tell he was involved with the offense. Like what And even Kendra Lambert-Smith even had some blocks and caught one pass for 2 yards. We've seen a bit from everybody now, and everybody is back. I'm just curious what the kind of what I'm trying to say is Trey Harris about to take more snaps in this game? That's really my thing. Is Trey Harris? Yes, yeah. Quentin Johnston is back. I just don't see how he's not involved. There's just a little bit to him that anybody could use on offense. You saw it last week. I'm hyping up 27 yards, I know, but can we get him more involved? And I personally will even say at the expense of some Keenan Allen snaps. Keenan Allen on third down, if he's not out there on third down and it's not 3rd and inches or 3rd and 1, you're an idiot. Keenan Allen should be out there on third down. But early downs, especially the run downs where Trey Harris can fake like he's blocking or be involved in the run game, but also have his work as a receptions guy. I'm very curious if they cut back on some of Keenan's snaps this week and give it a bit more to Trey Harris.
Yeah, I think eventually that's going to be their plan. Like when they get the tackles back and they can kind of run their usual stuff. Like this team wants to push the ball down the field. I think it's better suited with Trey Harris out there than Keenan. And you still have a lot of the third down stuff, a lot of the shotgun stuff, 4 receiver stuff. I could think Keenan's kind of settling into the role that I expected him to settle into. It just like the first 3 games were amazing. But I'm like, this is kind of the version of Keenan that I expected heading into the season, where you have your red zone role, your third down role, you still do a lot of the short area stuff. And then the other guys are kind of the ones that drive the offense. And I think just from the stylistic standpoint of the way Greg Roman wants to use them, I think Trey Harris could be, second half season where he's having a really, really good year. So I think this receiving group, it complements each other so well. Like all of them do so many different things for you. And I know we've talked about Trey Harris, the blocker, but you can play 4 receiver sets because Trey is such a good blocker. Oronde Gadsden's coming on as a blocker too. So I think this is a game where the Chargers have the potential to match the points. They just have to kind of, manage the pressure a little bit. And if they can manage the pressure like they did last week, where you're chipping, you're double teaming, you have Tucker Fisk out there, protecting against Bobby Hart. If Herbert is under pressure at 30% like he was last week, I think this could be again, like we're saying all of these things, and it's going to end up being like a 16-13 game. But on paper, this Chargers team, I think, could go, strike for strike here with a very good Colts offense, as long as they can keep Herbert upright.
Yeah, I don't doubt, and we'll talk about our game predictions. I don't doubt the Chargers are going to score points in this one. The Colts have good players, great players on defense, but they don't have the suffocating elite defensive line or secondary group as we've seen some from previous weeks. So the Chargers will definitely get theirs. The receivers, the tight ends should get theirs. Talk about Vidal in a bit. It's really just up to that defense.
Yeah, I agree. What's keeping us up at night? I think it's very clearly like the rushing attack. Like that's where I'm at. But we decided as a fan base, apparently this week, to do Shane Steichen revisionist history this week. And I'm so tired of it. The Chargers offense in 2020 was horrible. Like you've mentioned this a couple of times. There were multiple games where Keenan Allen came out and was like, yeah, I don't know what we were doing this week. Like we were not prepared. They were one of the worst situational teams in the league. Some of that is the head coach. They were like 28th in success rate. They were not a good offense. And people are like, oh, Shane Steichen's great now. He should have been with the Chargers. I'm just over it. Like I know it's not a part of the preview, but I had to get this off my chest. I'm so sick of the Shane Steichen revisionist history. They were a bad offense, followed up the next year with Joe Lombardi, where they were a top 5 offense in the league. So if we're going to do, hey, this coach should have never left, I'll take the guy who had a top 5 offense with Justin Herbert in his second season. I'm over the Shane Steichen revisionist history. He is not the same coach today that he was with the Chargers. It was very, very bad in 2020.
Yeah, I think people miss the intermediate part where he went to the Eagles and was a part of a great, offensive system and culture and line and all these things. And that under that regime and that group led him to become who he is now. And even this has taken many years. Not that he was bad with Gardner Minshew, like you said, a top 15 offense, but like now we are seeing it. The Chargers and their ecosystem. Look, there's a world where the Chargers do, let's say, either keep him as OC or let's just say they make him head coach after Anthony Lynn. There's a world where, as a new coach, he doesn't grow like into the play caller that he is right now. He does not become this guy that he was able to do over years with the Eagles and now with the Colts. So I think we're all assuming that, well, if he stuck around here, he'd be great. Not necessarily the case. The guy they did hire, Brandon Staley, good defensive coordinator, never grew with the Chargers, and he just kind of dropped off from it. It got worse, unfortunately. So we're sitting here saying this and that and all the revisionists, but I think we have to understand that the Chargers, and that's why they paid Jim Harbaugh and got Jim Harbaugh, they don't really necessarily at the time, they didn't have that culture to grow coaches and develop coaches.
Yeah.
And I just don't think Steichen would have been that same guy that people think that he is right now. And yeah, looking back at that year with Herbert, that first year, that kind of the second half of the year when they fired Wisenhunt when he had Rivers, it was good sometimes. Sometimes it was great. It was a great rookie season for Herbert, but the overall offense was not great. And yeah, I'm not going to make this a Steichen versus Lombardi thing. I don't know what Steichen could have done.
No.
And how he would have developed in those years. So is this narrative keeping me up at night? No. But I'm kind of over. Yeah. Look, would Shane Steichen be better than Greg Roman? Yeah, of course. Shane Steichen, the play caller right now. Watching the Colts, I'll talk about their offense. It looks like what the Chargers would like to do on offense. It's just they do it gooder. So and invest in offensive lineman in the interior. But anyway, yeah, it's revisionist history all the time.
Yeah, it was not good in 2020, and it was not a fun watch. Like I mentioned, it's not like literally keeping me up at night. What's keeping me up at night about this game is the Colts run offense. Like, it's how they use Jonathan Taylor, how they dress everything up. You watch them, throw the football to Tyler Warren, and like 80% of his targets, there's nobody within 5 to 10 yards.
No, it's crazy.
He is scheming Tyler Warren open at an insanely high rate right now. And so the Chargers are going to have to be very prepared for all of the window dressing. And that is something that they have really struggled with over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it is. You turn on the Colts game, not that I watched a ton of it in depth, but you watch just the replay of everything against the Cardinals, and it's motion this, motion that, all their explosive plays. I think there were 4 or 5 passing game explosive plays, all came out of some sort of pre-snap motion to some alignment that was completely different than the other one. Everything is completely different. The window dressing is different. And not only is that difficult to stop, but the Chargers just are getting suckered in. The safeties and the linebackers in particular are just getting suckered into everything. Corners are generally playing well, but they kind of have a set job, and they're not being asked to do a whole lot. The linebackers and safeties are getting killed. Play action, the motion stuff. Mike McDaniel, Sean Payton, these guys are getting what they want and the looks that they want out of Jesse Minter's defense. And that's kind of the concerning part. It's like, okay, let's motion these guys. I forget who it was, but they motioned somebody over that shifted everybody towards the middle. Derwin was basically the Mike at that point, and it was Mickens and a Boygby to one side, and they just ran it to the right with Achane. That was the big rushing play. It's just, it's tricky. The Colts are so good at this and get their explosive plays out of it, and the Chargers have been so bad with this. If they can't figure it out, and they can't communicate like they have the last couple of weeks, I mean, this could be very ugly.
Yeah, they run motion at the snap at the 5th highest rate in the league. The Dolphins are at first by a ton. They're like 20 full percentage points up on anybody else, but the Colts do it a lot, man, and they do it a lot with Tyler Warren. They do it a lot with Josh Downs, who's out this week. But the Chargers have to be on their P's and Q's this week on defense, or this could get, as Ellie Broom points out, could get like the Bucs game in a hurry. Yeah,
oh God, I hope not. Thankfully, I don't think the Colts will dominate the O-line like the way the Bucs did, but yeah, I mean, the way Bucky Irving played, Mike Evans, everybody in that game, it is kind of similar. And yet I'd argue this Colts offense is, compared to that Bucs offense, more well-rounded.
Yeah, the defenses overall are like very similar for like that Bucs comparison, but the Bucs, it was like they blitzed at like a 70% rate that week. It's like an exaggeration, but it was a lot, and it was a problem. All right, X Factors. I'm going with Kamani Vidal again. I know I went with him last week. I don't know really like how much of a chance he's going to get this week. But the Chargers are still calling around on running backs, according to Diana Rossini and Josina Anderson. I think this is a chance for him to kind of solidify what direction they want to go with running back. Is he your RB2 when Omarion Hampton comes back? Is he your RB3 when Omarion Hampton comes back? Like, this game will tell us a lot about Kamani Vidal and where he's at. They are not playing the Dolphins run defense this week. I can tell you he's not going to get a 40-yard gain out of nowhere like that. So this is a big moment for him. You know, a lot of people have kind of like thrown out the Darren Sproles comparison. I don't necessarily hate that, although Sproles was like so much faster.
Quicker.
But I think this is a big moment for Kamani's career, where if he plays well again, you know, can he solidify his standing on the 53, or was the Dolphins game kind of just like, you know, a perfect storm moment for him? So I'm going with Kamani again, even though I went with him last week.
It's a great one. I mean, I could put this easily as my most excited to see, just because, whoa, that player that we saw against the Dolphins, yes, it was the Dolphins, played awesome. And it wasn't just, hey, we blocked well, go run for 50. It was some very good post-contact work, very good stuff to the outside. Curious if that continues this week, all that stuff to the outside, the passing game stuff to the outside to him as well. Is he involved as a receiver this week? Maybe it isn't a big rushing performance, but this guy as a receiver, his first touch was a 40-yard touchdown. So maybe they go, okay, you know, not great, maybe rushing this week, but hey, the linebackers are banged up, the corners are banged up. Let's get you out there as a receiving option. So that's a good one. And I don't expect him to have the same game, but just, can you keep the down and distance? Can you remain efficient? Can you stay ahead of everything? Can you not put Deculus versus Latu in a 3rd and 8 and then 3rd and 13 after Trey Pipkins false starts? Like, can we just avoid those situations? Or sorry, Bobby Hart this week false starts.
Bobby Hart, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Who will false start probably. Because okay, by the way, the fact that last week the broadcast knew how many false starts Bobby Hart had is insane. I've never heard someone just know, oh yeah, this person has tons of false starts in their career. Never heard that brought up before. Anyway, Vidal's a great option. I will go.
They were ready.
They were ready for that one, which means it must have been bad. I will pick RJ Mickens in this one. If Derwin James is playing deep with Tony Jefferson, maybe not as much of a problem. I could see them going for that, but I don't think Derwin James is playing 100% snaps at free safety. He's not going to be, you know, Trey Boston this week. I don't think. At least I hope he plays better than Trey Boston if he's back there. But RJ Mickens, it is RJ Mickens, and you have Tyler Warren wide open or Jonathan Taylor with a big run. Can you limit those? In the preseason and everything we saw, really most of that Miami game, Mickens was very good. There's just that one play. Now, Taylor's not as fast as Achane, so things will help. I think when you lose a rep like that bad, you maybe learn something, unfortunately, but you know, there are lessons in failures. So can Mickens be that last man standing for them? Frankly, they've kind of needed it anyway, with someone like Alohi Gilman bouncing off guys, not being so hot there, Molden being out. So can he do it this week?
Yeah, I mean, his tackling ability is what I loved watching on tape. And, you know, he was a pretty good blitzer as well back in college. So I know he took the bad angle, but I expect him to play well, man. I do. I think he can come in and this week, you know, show this is probably more of a stylistic fit for him than last week, where the Dolphins are trying to spread everything out and there's so many, you know, motions and perimeter throws, perimeter runs. This week, where the Colts are trying to go a little bit more downhill, I think could be a good potential game for him without Elijah Molden out there.
Yes.
All right, let's get to our game picks here. Then we'll wrap it up with some questions from the chat. Tyler, you go first here this week.
I have a feeling there's a slight limit. I don't think the Colts go with over 30. I do think the Colts win. I think the Colts go 28-27, a win over the Chargers. Happy to be wrong. So happy if I'm wrong here. But until we see more from this defense for the Chargers, and that's my concern. Chargers are scoring, I think, at least 3 touchdowns, field goal or 2 here and there. Yes, they're allowed to kick field goals, guys. I do think they can also kick field goals in this game.
Just not 5.
Just not 5. I am going to pick them to lose. I believe this is the first time I picked them to lose. But, I mean, look, Herbert is going to have a good game. He could have a great game, but this game strikes me as like the Lions game, where you can finish the game with 5 touchdowns in a row and still lose. So I have generally full confidence in the offense to get this done. It's just the defense. Now, if the defense changes things up, as we've said, make things work, hey, great. They might win this one. If Daniel Jones goes early Halloween and turns into a pumpkin, hey, all good. Chargers might win this one. But until we see something, and unfortunately, it's been 3 weeks in a row of the Chargers defense not being so great, I have to pick the Chargers to lose this one.
Yeah, I think if I knew that Khalil Mack was like 100% back to his usual self, I think I might be swayed in another way. And I know Troy hasn't like played a ton or played super well recently, but if the Chargers had their full slate of linebackers plus Khalil Mack healthy, I might pick this the other way. But you brought up the Lions game. I was in attendance for that one. I was in attendance for the Browns game where Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt went crazy, and Justin Herbert was still able to like pull the rabbit out of the hat, and they won. I forget what the exact score that was. It was in the 40s, I want to say. So there's definitely a chance that Justin Herbert and this receiving group can, win a shootout game. I don't think this is like definitely a loss, but until I see otherwise, I am not going to trust this run defense against a good rushing attack. And I think this rushing attack is significantly better than what they saw last week. It's significantly better than what they saw against the Commanders, where you're talking about the best running back in the league right now. You're talking about the first or second team that is like up there in all of the rushing categories. So I think this is a really bad matchup for the Chargers defense with the injuries at the offensive tackle position. I'm inclined to think that the Chargers lose this week. And I think I'm probably more on the fence than you are. But I still think that this is a game that the Chargers probably unfortunately lose. And I think I don't trust their tackle situation and the run defense. That's the main thing. And those are like the two most important things against the Colts.
If they play it in the playoffs, I will tell you, I will pick the Chargers to win unless they lose several players. If you have Alt and Mack and everyone's back and good and healthy, and you tell me the Colts are even at full strength, I will pick the Chargers to win. I just think that with the way the defense is playing, with the injuries that they've had, they're getting guys back. They're almost there. This team can Jesus. They allowed a 97th percentile run game last week. Could be the 99th percentile one this week. Again, until things change on defense, which is very possible, I have to pick the Colts to win. Now, if you come back here on Sunday, we're reacting to this like, oh, Daniel Jones threw 4 interceptions. Daniel Jones sucked. How did you not predict that? I don't know, because he hasn't done it all year. He's been playing pretty well. If he wants to just suddenly become bad, Daniel Jones, and someone fumbles a punt return, and Herbert has his 4 touchdown day, Chargers can totally win this one. I don't know. I think I'm kind of on the same on the fence thing as you. Okay. Where I could tell you 3 different ways the Chargers win this one. I just feel like I can find 7 other ways the Chargers lose this one.
Yeah. And we obviously both hope that we're wrong. And people get mad when we pick them to lose, but we can't pick them to win every week. Like, we have to be realistic.
Yeah, we do have to be realistic.
So this is the game that of like the injury games, I think this is the one that I have felt the worst about. Mm-hmm. Just because Jonathan Taylor's a bad man, and this rushing attack that the Colts are rolling out is really, really good. So the Chargers defense has got to strap it up and get ready to go, or whatever Rico Dowdle said about the Colts game or the Cowboys game last week.
Does Rico Dowdle want to play for the Chargers in this game? I'll take those 450 yards he's had the last 2 weeks, dude.
Would love it. All right, Tyler. Any other final thoughts on this game before we get to some questions?
The most important thing about this game is that I will not be attending. So the win probability does increase by 32%. So, maybe I should change my mind.
I will not be attending either. So, we'll see how it goes. Vikings game next week. Are you going to that one, or are you missing that one also?
No, actually, we're giving our tickets to my sister and her almost eventually fiance, but boyfriend.
The one that's a Vikings fan?
Yes.
That makes sense.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah, which means they'll win because he has horrible luck.
That's good. That's good.
Screw him.
All right, let's get to some super chats. We'll head out of here. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man says, after watching Bozeman play this season, this game, he will sack Herbert himself somehow.
It's rough, guys. The Chargers fans had the greatest 24 hours of their life when Andre James was the starting center for a practice, but it sounds like that's not going to change anything. Barring something with the illness and whatnot changing things on tomorrow, I'm pretty sure Bozeman is starting, despite what the 58 follower, was it Mac Daddy or Bolt Daddy or whoever it was that tweeted that Bozeman was being benched. That's not happening.
Yeah, I forget. It was Max something. I forget.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, man. It's unfortunate that he's regressed, which I didn't think was possible, but it's not good. Athir says, I want to start with those Chargers fans that do not believe in this team and this coach. I am taking Coach Harbaugh from you. Do you want Staley back? I mean, obviously not, but we also have to look at this team where they're at,
Yeah, it has to be realistic there. I mean, you have to name, can you name all the teams that have been undefeated and won the Super Bowl? Yes, you can, because there's not many. It's just that one.
Just the one.
There are games you are going to lose. Even the Patriots ended up losing the Super Bowl. We can't just sit here and say, like, I don't know. We do this every time with the Athir, and I appreciate the positivity and definitely the super chat, but they're gonna lose some of these games, guys.
Yeah. Aaron Stumbo 4368 says, Tyler, did you think of Bozeman when you got a flat this week?
No, that doesn't cross my mind. I was like, Bradley Bozeman. Like, it's Bradley Bozeman's fault. No, I did not think of Bradley Bozeman.
No, that's a little next level kind of hatred there that I think when bad stuff happens in real life, I'm not like, oh, my football team.
Right, exactly. No, what the Chargers make me think like, life, but I don't think of the football team when life things happen.
Yeah, right. JLM 79 says Colts haven't played an elite quarterback yet. That's very true.
Matthew Stafford.
I thought he missed that game. So yeah, they did play Matthew Stafford.
No, they did. Yeah.
He played. I remember that now. Yeah, Stafford counts. Obviously, they played Jacoby Brissett last week, and I get it. Like that's why we think the Chargers can score a lot of points this week. But football is a 3-unit sport.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Athir back with his bold prediction. He says that the defense rises up to control JT, sack Jones 4 times, force 2 turnovers. Bolts win a classic 27-23. Number 1 seed in the AFC, baby. I think the only one of those that I would say is bold is the JT stuff there. I think it is possible to sack Daniel Jones, and it is possible to force 2 turnovers, but control JT is obviously the big question that the two of us have.
Yeah, I think you can get after the Colts offensive line. I think most of their group is from 1 to 32. They're all kind of sitting, like, I think 10th to like 25th in terms of pass blocking efficiency. I think their pass block win rate on ESPN is 24th. So you can get after them in the rush game, but doing that and then also stopping Jonathan Taylor, I don't believe that's going to happen. Or if it does happen and they genuinely do stop the Colts, then we can definitely say goodbye to Jesse Minter.
Yeah. Yeah, because he'll be on track to.
Yeah.
Mr. Dark Chow Chow says, would you say Herbert's arm strength / velocity greater than Mahomes? I think so.
Yeah.
That's not why Mahomes is Mahomes. I think he has a very high-end arm strength and velocity, but that's not like the strength of his game. The strength of his game is all of the off-platform stuff and, get out of the pocket stuff and all of that, as we've unfortunately seen time and time again. But Herbert, to me, his arm strength and his velocity is, if it's not first, it's probably second in the league behind Josh Allen, but it's definitely top 2. Yeah,
those are the 2 I think of for sure. And then who's the Patriots quarterback who can throw it really far, and that's about it?
Drake May?
Nope, no. the shoot from Tennessee.
He's on the Cowboys now. Joe Milton.
There you go.
Yeah, so he's probably first, actually, now that you bring that up.
That's all he's got, but
he
might be first. There you go.
Yeah, he threw like I forget, he was doing some like content creation stuff, and he threw a baseball like 120 yards or something like that. Like his arm strength is crazy. Like if you need a Hail Mary, he's your guy for sure. Yeah.
We watched the opposite last week, watching Tua. That was rough, man. And it got worse too. It is arm punt city.
Yeah, it was that interception at the end. I was like, what are you doing? Like, it
Yeah.
was just it did not even give them a chance. So, yeah, I don't know.
No.
All righty. That is our last super chat there. We appreciate you guys for jumping in on a Saturday morning.
Yep.
That is going to do it for us. So I will be watching tomorrow's game on a delay. I have to be teaching at church tomorrow, so I've got to record it and start an hour late. So we'll keep you guys posted on when exactly we can be recording here. But yeah, should be a fun one. At least the game will be entertaining, and hopefully if you guys are in attendance, should be a good fan turnout. I haven't seen a ton of like Colts fans talking about making the trip out. So should be a good atmosphere, entertaining game. Hopefully the Chargers can come out on top and prove us wrong this week.
Yeah. Again, definitely hope they prove us wrong. It is better for us. Anyone who tells us, and for some reason people tell us like, oh, it's more lucrative to be negative. It is not.
It is not 100% not true.
It is not. It sucks. It basically sucks. So please go out there and win. If you're attending the game, awesome. It should look like a good crowd turnout. It's just blue and white. So I don't know what else. It's not the Broncos orange or Chiefs red. So
yeah,
should be a good turnout on the broadcast. Hopefully we see some good stuff. Hopefully we hear some cues. I will not be there, so hopefully I can hear the cues on the broadcast, and hopefully it doesn't fumble right after I do that.
Yeah. Yeah. The yellow jerseys, I don't know, man. I don't know how that's going to look on TV, but if you're going to the game, I've been told to encourage you to wear yellow. The Chargers are not like announcing this as a yellow out, but they would like it to be a lot of yellow. So if you have a yellow shirt or uniform or whatever, I've been told to pass that message along. So if you have yellow, you're going to the game tomorrow, try and wear yellow, I guess. At least wear like a yellow hat. I don't know.
Yeah, wear the Savannah bananas, whatever. What the yellow stuff is there? I don't know. Something. Find anything. I'll bring my Pikachu.
Yeah, I was gonna say take the picture, yeah.
Bring a Pikachu. I don't even know if I could bring that into the stadium. It'd be amazing if I could, but yeah, have some fun. My thoughts on those uniforms is officially this. If they win in those uniforms, I like them.
Yeah, that's fair. They only wear them once, which is good. I just need a break of the yellow, man. Like wearing yellow socks too. I'm like, why? What are we doing? We need some balance here a little bit. But
yeah,
I love the vibes. Like the retro stuff looks great. You know, the whole social media staff has been teasing like all of the retro things that are going on. They're bringing back the retro end zones, which I think is great. Yeah, cool. Love that. So I think it will look cool, and then the uniforms maybe might not look as cool, but we'll see how it is.
It'll be really cool as Jonathan Taylor has 150 yards on the ground.
Yeah, not the game that you want to associate with that, or uniform, I should say.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, that is going to do it for us today. Appreciate the heck out of you for taking some time out of your Saturday to watch and support the show. As always, make sure to subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff. All that good stuff does continue to help grow our show. And we'll see you tomorrow. As always, bolt up.